G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I of course have to cover Phase 5. It was the final day. We had King getting announced, making what we thought was going to be the final entrant into Phase, and turns out we ended up getting a 6th member. They ended up pushing it out to Phase 6, which was super exciting. I want to cover everyone that joined, everything I haven't already talked about, because this was massive, not just for Fortnite, not just for orgs, but for esports in general. This Phase 5 was a massive one. And then of course, carrying on from yesterday's video, I talked about how this new sub-custom system was going to take over the world. It was going to break into every region. And I talked about how maybe EU could use this to finally get good practice. And what do we have? We have the Fishy Customs. Benjyfishy is starting his sub-only customs. And I want to talk about that a little bit. And I want to make sure you know about it, because if you're in EU, you're going to want to know how to play, because this is going to be finally good practice for you guys. You guys know the deal. Before the video starts, please chuck a like on it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Check out my Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. I stream live there every single day for about 8 hours. Swing by, have a chat. I'd love to meet you. I hope you enjoy the video. If you somehow missed it, if you missed my previous videos, or you just haven't logged on Twitter at all, Faze has been doing their Phase 5. It's where anyone could enter who wanted to join Faze. They narrowed it down through different selection criteria. They made a bunch of content, a bunch of promotion, and then we got to finally today where we have our top 5 entries. But that's all we thought was going to happen. They ended up doing a sneak little announcement. They ended up announcing 6 people, which some people aren't too happy about. Some people are a bit upset with how Phase 5 ran. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But overall, in case you missed it, we had in order Faze, Virus, Flea, Neo, King, and Scope. Those are your 6 Phase 5 entrants. And I want to talk a little bit about them and what Phase 5 means, because I talked about it when I made my first video when they announced Faze, which is a good friend of mine, an NA West pro and content creator who, coming into Phase 5, had the least amount of followers of anyone, had the smallest platform of anyone in the top 20 to make it into Phase 5, and he got the first pick, which ended up giving him a car as well, which was just ridiculous. And once that happened, it changed everyone's opinion of what Phase 5 was going to be. Everyone thought, like I did, they were going to sign Flea, they were going to sign King, they were going to sign Absorber, which they didn't end up doing, who has over 2 million subscribers on YouTube. They genuinely went back to their roots and they signed people based on content, based on merit, and not just based on their following. And I don't want to make that sound like I'm throwing any shade towards Absorber or some of the bigger content creators who didn't get signed. I'm just saying that if a lot of people were in this position of Phase where they're running an org, they would have just thought, okay, 2.3 million YouTube subscribers or 5,000. I'm going to pick the guy with 2.3 million, but they didn't. They picked people they genuinely thought would make huge impacts on their content and their own content, which I'm so proud of. But we still got some big signings in there that really upset people. We had Slasher. If you guys don't know, Slasher is one of the biggest esports kind of commentary and like news reporters there are in the whole industry. He wasn't too happy with how Phase 5 ran. He had the same opinion that I did, that maybe people like King, maybe people like Flea that have massive followings, huge content creators, King being one of the most valuable pros, in my opinion, in Fortnite to any org, probably should have got signed on their own merit outside of Phase 5, and Phase 5 really should have been for those more underrated players like Faze to get picked up like it was. So even though a lot of us are quite happy they didn't go right down the clout route and just sign people based on millions of subs, there's still quite a few people that aren't too happy that someone like King got a spot. So let me show you what Slasher had to say. Slasher ended up responding to Jake Lucky, again, one of the other biggest esports reporters in the industry. He said Rogan had one of the most viral videos in Phase 5 and did not land a spot in Faze Clan. Faze King is the 5th Faze recruit. He said, I don't think Xenon or Rogan ever stood a chance to be signed due to their age, so I find it a bit unfair to them that they were even led on to the final 20. Thoughts? And then Slasher responded, this is Faze Clan marketing campaign. I don't expect anything, because his opinion was similar to mine. He said, LMAO, who gives a shit about that kid, would have liked to see someone like Scoped or others who have been trying forever to get in. Faze could have acquired King as a normal signing. Now remember, when Slasher said this, he said this in reference to the fact that when King got signed as the 5th person, Scope hasn't yet been announced as the 6th. And that's why Slasher was a bit upset. And a lot of us had this same opinion. People like King, who have over 2 million YouTube subs, place regularly, almost won Trio FNCS in Brazil, had one of the most dominant runs on the leaderboards you've ever seen, top 5 at World Cup, just someone who is going to place race that regularly in tournaments, makes content that gets millions of views, streams to 20,000 plus people on average, and taps into the Brazilian market and the South American market, which Faze hasn't really tapped into. He really should have got signed just from the get-go when he said that he wanted to be in Faze. Instead, they went through the Phase 5 recruitment phase. They kind of dragged people on who, you know, only had a few thousand subscribers. You had people in there that were artists. They were making content that wasn't really gaming related, kind of led to believe they had a chance to make it into Faze. And don't get me wrong, they still had a massive social boost as well, and I get that. And same with King. King has now gotten even more hype around his signing because there was so much attention on Phase 5. So I get that. I do understand it, but it does feel a little bit upsetting for some of those other people. Maybe again, if you're in the Fortnite community, like Milliam, who makes insane creative montage content. Once Flea got announced, most people just assumed that Milliam wouldn't make it because their content was so similar, but Flea just has a bigger platform. So I don't know. Flea has talked about how he wants to join Faze for forever now, for years, for months. I feel like when he started picking up a lot of steam, started making those kind of videos, they really should have reached out to him outside of this, because for me, I was so happy that people like Fax that he got in. So I don't want this to sound like I'm just, you know, slamming on Phase 5 saying they did a terrible job. It was super exciting. The content was awesome. A bunch of people got huge social boosts. I just think the bigger names that once they get to that point of, you know, 2 million plus subs, maybe should get signed on their own merit. It also is a bit interesting to me that from what I've heard, that Faxity got the car because he was first, but no one else got that. They got a $20,000 signing bonus. They got a contract, and they got a G Fuel sponsorship. But I don't really understand if their contracts are any different. Surely they are. You have to imagine that Faxity, again, great guy, great content creator, doesn't get the same contract as King. They're just not worth the same. If King signed for what Faxity signed for, I feel like King has been massively, massively undercut based on his value. So I'd be interested to see how Faze is doing this. I don't think we'll get any information because, as always, when it comes to esports, when it comes to contracts, nothing is ever shared, which is a little bit frustrating. If contracts were out there, I know people don't like talking about money, but if contracts were out there, it'd be easier for players to understand their worth. Oh, that guy gets paid that amount, I should probably be worth this amount. But there's this whole massive gray area of no one knows what they're worth. Either way, super exciting. They ended up signing Scope in the end as well. So that means they went with 3 COD and 3 Fortnite content creators. Kind of insane to see someone like Absorber that was such a shoo-in, 2.3 million subs on YouTube, already regularly makes videos at the Faze house with Faze members, didn't get signed. Again, maybe he'll get signed after all this Phase 5 stuff, but it was really, really exciting to see. And I'm interested to see what Faze now does with these guys' contents after this. I would love to see these guys get flown out to LA. Potentially seeing King play on NA would be so exciting. I made a tweet talking about this. I'm so sick of, even though he came top 5 at World Cup, people saying, oh, he's dominant on Brazil, but he couldn't do that on NA. I would love to see it, but either way, that kind of covers everything to do with Phase 5. Did any of you guys actually predict who got in first? Because I made this tweet that Benjyfishy actually almost perfectly predicted who was going to get in after I made my tweet. He got 3 of the 5 or 3 of the 6. I haven't found anyone yet who's guessed all 5. Faxity kind of threw a spanner in the works there. If you did pick all 5, comment with some proof down below, and I'll definitely chuck you a subscription or a follow, and I'll shout you out, because that's super awesome if you did. But speaking about Benjyfishy, let's move on to EU. Let's talk about how we might have EU's practice scene finally being saved. I'm sure you didn't miss it because it's Benjyfishy. It went super viral, but he'd made a tweet saying, announcing Fishy Customs. Starting 2021, my Discord will be hosting sub-customs. You can find out how to join the custom Discord in my community Discord, not custom. So I'll put that link in the description down below. You have to join that Discord first, because the only way that you get into the customs Discord is by being a subscriber. So go into this Discord and then follow the links. He said, I'll be streaming this on my Twitch, and to play, you must be subscribed to my Twitch. Now, this is super, super exciting. I know this is going to be ran well because it's Benjyfishy, and Benjyfishy has a great standing in the community. He's going to pull lots of numbers on his stream, same as Saf, Zate, and Stretch are doing. So it's going to build big games. They're going to be run hopefully regularly, and he has the following where he can build a support network around him, where if people are griefing them, teaming, and doing those things that usually ruin EU practice, it's going to be very easy to have those people kicked or banned from playing the game. So again, for $5 a month, this is looking like a really, really good option. This is taking over the world. That's why I talked about it in yesterday's video. I can see pretty much every region is going to start doing these as long as someone with a big following is willing to do them. And they're great fun. I don't know if Benji's mentioned any kind of like cash prize incentive, but I think he does. He said, I'm going to be putting the money into hosting tournaments, etc. in there. So it looks like maybe the money won't be going into who wins each game like Alpha Customs is doing, but they might be going into actual tournaments that run, I don't know, like once a week or something. He hasn't given the full details, but I, for one, am insanely excited for this. Not just because it brings better practice to EU, it just means there's going to be something going on regularly in EU. Because right now, again, when I make my videos, you guys always ask, Aussie, you don't talk about EU enough. And I always tell you, it's too hard to follow just because not that much happens when there's no tournaments. There's not regular pro scrims. And again, before you guys freak out, I know there's some really good scrims already going in EU. You have VROX, you have Save It, and I know those have been working, but I just think because of Benjyfishy's bigger platform, just because of who Benjyfishy is and the respect he has in the community, I think these will perform that much better and they will draw more players, and I feel like they'll especially draw more pros that will actually play properly. I hope. Surely, we saw that Aqua couldn't do it. If anyone can get this kind of practice going, surely it's Benjyfishy. I'd have to say that Benjyfishy probably has almost more respect than anyone in the community, and I feel like if you turn on Benjyfishy or you wrong Benjyfishy, you're probably going to piss off the whole community. I hope, because man, I want to see EU get some solid practice. Alright guys, that does it for another video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please chuck a like on it. Let me know in the comment section down below. Like I said earlier, did you pick the 5 in order? Give me some proof and I will shout you out. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean so much to me. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one.